Hey guys, welcome to the next segment of Lesbians Do It All, going live, and we're talking about what's our attachment style. Are we secure, anxious, or avoidant? Before I start and getting to that, today's wine is Chianti wine by Bel Bellagio. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I've never had it. It's Chianti wine, 2016. Chianti wine just means that's the origin of Italy where it was made by a particular grape. I forgot the name of the grape, but it is supposed to be dry wine. I normally don't drink Chianti. I normally go for like Moscato or Pinot Grillo or Chardonnay or sweet red wines like Moscato. So I'm drinking dry wine. So we're going to give it a try. Gonna swirl it, smell it. I don't know what I smell like. You're supposed to like try to smell the aroma and figure out what it is, and then you're supposed to swish it around your mouth and spit it out if you're going to a wine tasting. Like I'd actually want to go to an authentic wine tasting. I actually went to one that wasn't so authentic, but we're gonna give this wine a try. Okay, so it's dry, but it's really good. It's really good wine. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's a good wine. Mm. Okay, so back to the subject. The attachment theory was started by John Bowlby, who was a psychoanalyst or a psychiatrist during the World War II. He believed that the child and parent relationship often tends to determine our expectations or relationships later in life. And he came up with the idea of secure, anxious, and avoidant. Later on, one of his students, Mary Ainsworth, tested the theory with called a strange situation. And this test was done with children, I think toddlers between the ages of 12 to 18 months. And they basically had the mother and child in one room, and then they introduced a stranger to come in. And then they had the mother leave the room to determine which attachment style the child had. And they came up with these different reactions that the kids had. So when it comes to the different attachment styles, you have secure. And the parenting style tends to be warm, attentive, relatively consistent, and quick to respond to the child. The child's baseline emotional state tends to be happy, confident, and curious. Child's expectation in life is my needs will be met. And then you have the anxious child whose parenting style, their parent might have been inconsistent, sometimes responsive, sometimes not. The child's baseline emotional state tended to be insecure, anxious, and intensely emotional. The child's expectation is that if I act the right way, I might earn love and my needs might be met. And then you have the avoidant child whose parenting style was distant. The mother or a father might have been quite harsh and critical of the child. And the child's baseline emotional state is to emotionally shut down. The child's expectation in life is I can't trust anyone to meet my needs. I must meet my own needs. So later last week, I had you guys answer a poll and to try to figure out which attachment style best describes you. So the first one was, I am somewhat uncomfortable being close to others. I find it difficult to allow myself to depend or trust. I am nervous with closeness. This tends to be the avoidant attachment style. And then the second one was, I find others are reluctant to get close as I would like. I often worry that my partner doesn't really love me or won't stay. This is the anxious attachment style. And then finally we have, I find it easy to get close to others, am comfortable depending on them. I don't often worry about being abandoned or someone getting close. This is the secure attachment style. And this was a love quiz done in a newspaper, which determined that 50% of Americans are secure, 20% are anxious, and 25% are avoidant. So I wanted to go over like what happens when a relationship is stressed with these different attachment styles. So when a relationship is under stress, the secure partner tends to want to solve the problem. You know, they will get upset, but they're going to like focus more on trying to communicate clearly to figure out what the issue is instead of just blaming the whole relationship. And just, you know, they're going to fight for the relationship and not just sit there and say, oh, it's, you know, it's not a problem. Whereas the anxious tends to get upset and do things that probably they shouldn't do, such as phoning all day or making drastic accusations. And they call this the protest behavior, because oftentimes the anxious person doesn't know how to confidently and clearly come straight out and say what their problem is. Instead, they tend to sit here and, you know, be very needy instead of just coming straight out and say, hey, I need reassurance that you care. And then for the avoidant person, when the relationship is under stress, they tend to shut down emotionally and try to avoid dealing with it. But in their mind, they run their partner down and they tend to devalue their partner. And this is known as deactivating your emotions. Because if you devalue their partner, the act of actually losing them looks less terrifying. So that's the avoidant attachment style. And the secure person tends to be really secure and wants to solve the relationship, wants to solve the problem within the relationship. And they don't, you know, when issues arise, whereas the anxious is always looking for possible signs of rejection and not being reassured that they are being catered into the relationship. And the avoidant person looks for possible signs of being tied down. They don't want that. They don't want to feel tied down. They don't like feeling like too much is being demanded of them. They want their independence. So when it comes to emotional intimacy, a secure person is often wants to be close to their partner. Like they want that attachment. They want to take the time to get to know their partner, because that's how a relationship should work. But they also like to have a balance with the relationship where they have me time and they can focus on their hobbies, their interests, their job, or whatever else, not just always the partner. And then the secure anxious person, when it comes to emotional intimacy, they really want to be close, but they also fear showing signs of being needy because they know that this can possibly drive their relationship away, and they don't want that. They want reassurance that it's going to work out. Sorry, this wine is really good, so I got to take a minute. This wine is good. And then the avoidant person is, when it comes to emotional intimacy, I don't want to be hassled with this. I need my space. They don't really necessarily want to have any ties or connections when it comes to the relationship. In fact, avoidants do want to be in love. Everyone wants to be in love. That's just a given. That's human nature. We all want to find that connection. We all want to know that somebody's in our heart. We all want to have that connection. But avoidants tend to mistrust. So they have a strong need for their independence. So they don't really like having to depend on another person because they have that mistrust for the person. So how does a secure person view their partner's feelings? A secure person might say it's my responsibility to support and nurture my partner's feelings just as much as it is my partner's responsibility to nurture and support my feelings. So they see that it's supposed to be a balance because a relationship is a teamwork. It's a teamwork. It's you working together to share your lives. So a secure person sees that we have to work together for this relationship to work. You can't be in a relationship by yourself. It never works. Whereas the anxious person is, they always, they worry, they have, they want to feel love and they want to be reassured that the person that they're with loves them. And they always are in constant fear that the person is going to lose interest in them. So they can be very supportive with the relationship and be very confident in making sure the relationship goes where it needs to go. But they still on the regular needs reassurance that the person that they're interested in loves them, or else they'll worry about it. The avoidant is, they see their partner's feelings as their own. That's your problem. Those are your feelings. You figure it out. They don't like people not being able to stand on their own 2 feet. So they don't like being hassled with the person feeling needy or clingy or, you know, needing constant reassurance. They don't like a lot of drama. They want you to be independent because that's how they see their themselves. So when apart from their partners, a secure person may miss their partner, but they understand the relationship is safe and can still concentrate on getting whatever needs to be done with life while their partner is away. The anxious person, on the other hand, tends to worry about whether or not their partner will forget them, whether or not that they can actually trust their partner, you know, is not going to fall in love with someone else. They tend to worry. They need that reassurance, and that worry can escalate to the point where they get distracted from life. But then a quick text or a quick message might actually get them back on track and make them realize that, hey, it's okay. You know, the relationship is okay. So they always need that reassurance. And then the avoidant person is actually the opposite. They often experience great fondness for the person when their love is distant from them, because it seems as though they don't really want to have that connection. They don't want to feel that intimate. So when they're in close quarters with the relationship, they actually become irritated by the faults of their partner, and they tend to actually devalue their partner because it helps them to get over losing them a lot easily. So that intimacy, they fear that intimacy and being let down. So distance actually makes them fonder when their partner is away. Who drives the relationship? So a secure person will actually say it's not really an issue of who drives the relationship because we're both a team. So it's a give and take. It's a balance in this relationship. And then the anxious person tends to like, okay, well, you know, I put all of the control and all of the decisions up to my partner. I put it in their hands, or I let them deal with it. They want someone else in control. They actually are in fear of rejection. So because they have that fear of rejection, they tend to not want their partner to, they don't want to do anything against their partner. So they give them the control. Whereas the avoidant person is like, if I'm not in control, then this relationship is not going to work out because I have to be in control. Avoidant wants control because when they don't have control, it makes them feel uncomfortable. So they might actually use confusing tactics or give mixed signals to keep themselves in the upper hand. So secure is like balance. Anxious is like it's one-sided, it's the other person. And then avoidant is like, I'm in control. And then the reactions are different for these attachment styles when the relationship goes sour and there's a possible breakup or there is a breakup. So secure tends to grieve for the relationship, but they will eventually get over the relationship and seek a new one. And because they believe that I deserve to be loved. So it doesn't mean I'm gonna sit here and just keep constantly mourning the loss of a lover. The anxious one tends to cling to the ends of a relationship. They're not quite ready to get over it, and they tend to sulk over the relationship and tend to blame themselves and try to figure out what they can do to recover from it instead of focusing on what they can do to recover. And then the avoidant is the opposite. They quickly put the relationship out of their mind and they try to move on as fast as possible. However, they tend to glorify or idolize an ex because, not necessarily because the ex was perfect, but because the ex allows them to basically deactivate their feelings for the next relationship, because now they can devalue the next person and say, oh, you weren't like my ex, so that's why I'm not, willing to get so close to you. So it gives them a reason to not get that closeness, that connection, that intimacy. So be careful of that. So what happens when you have anxious person who's trying to date someone who's avoidant? Well, the anxious person might say that the avoidant person is distant or confusing, selfish, mean, commitment phobic. And then a secure person might see an anxious person, as an avoidant person, as private, cautious, self-sufficient, conflicted, and independent. But then when you have an anxious person who's trying to date somebody who was avoidant, they tend to see the anxious person as being clingy, needy, melodramatic, demanding, and commitment obsessive. Whereas a secure person will see the relationship as the partner, the anxious person being affectionate, worried, upset, companionable, and loyal. So it's a good thing to know your love attachment styles, because it'll help you to understand what how your relationship is going to go. So yesterday I told you guys about my experience, and the reason I did that because I wanted to tie it into today. I said that Ears was avoided, what she was. Whenever, hold on, I actually got to take a sip of this. Chianti wine, really good. Anyway, oh, that is so dry. But it's still it has a nice little aftertaste that's smoothing, and it's not strong and bitter, because some wines can be so bitter when they're dry, but it's really smooth. So I'm actually quite impressed with this wine. I will probably buy it again. I'm glad I tried something different tonight. But anyway, so I talked about Ears. Ears was avoidant, and I would often text her. I remember one night I had just got off work and just came back from coming out, and I really wanted a cuddle time. I wanted some intimacy. I didn't want to have sex. In fact, we actually never had sex. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I do not consider fingering sex. And the reason why, maybe that might change as I get older, but I don't consider it sex because, one, it's like me masturbating. That's how I see it. But anywho, I didn't really see it as sex, and we didn't have that until, I want to say, we dated for 6 months, and she finally didn't touch me until my 5th month, and it took a while for that to happen. So that was one thing. I need to stretch out. Sorry, guys. So we didn't have that, and I remember one of the things I wanted to have intimacy. And intimacy to me doesn't mean necessarily having sex. Intimacy could be just us laying down watching televisions or lighting some candles and just laying down and just sitting back and chatting and getting things out in life and just talking about what's going on. But I would text her several times and ask her for that. And it wasn't like she was creeping or anything, because that wasn't the case. Because after I would ask her for that, she would tell me no, I don't think it's a good idea. I think I should just go home, or, I just think I should just go home, and the thing is, we live really close proximity to one another. So it wouldn't have been much of a issue, but she didn't like the idea of getting close to me. So even though we would have that, she would tell me, no, I need to just go straight home. We would still end up talking for 4 or 5 hours until we both fell asleep on the phone. So it wasn't like she was creeping. It was just, she was avoidant of that intimacy. And I needed that reassurance because I realized that my attachment style is anxious. So I need that reassurance. I need to know where I stand in the relationship. I need to know that you care. I need to have that connection. I need to have that, yeah, I love you. So that's another reason why knowing your style can actually help you to identify how someone else is going to treat you in a relationship, because now you can understand where they're coming from. So when you know these particular styles, and whether or not the person is secure, anxious, or avoidant, you can actually determine what your next move should be. So I think knowing our attachment styles is a good idea. And now that I know my attachment style, and I know that I am anxious, I know I need that reassurance. I know that I need to work on not really sending text messages, but that are poetic, and you can have multiple readings and different, multiple readings, because one person might see a poem and take a different meaning or message from it. Another person might say it means this. So I need to learn to just come out and directly say, this is how I feel, instead of being indirect with my feelings. That's what I learned from this situation. So I advise everyone to take a moment to actually listen and figure out whether or not you are secure, anxious, and avoidant, because these attachment styles play a big hand in our relationships. Because I think the problem is we don't know how to communicate our needs in the relationship. And I sometimes think we are miscommunicating how we feel. So having a clear understanding where the person stands and listening to our partner can actually save us in the long run. However, you got people who attachment style is one thing, but they also might be materialistic, or they're looking for a come up in life. And you got those, because that was one of the things I noticed when I started talking to women in the field, that they were coming across women who were looking for their girlfriend or person to take care of them. They couldn't find someone who was really looking to invest in the relationship and take it to the next level. They was looking for something for the here and now to help me get over the next person. So I think it's very wise to understand your attachment style and to actually take time to ask questions about how your partner grew up in their childhood. How was their parents? Was both parents in the house, or were you an orphan, or were you adopted, or did something tragic happen to you? Because all of these experiences that we have build our characters, build how we're going to connect with another person. Me personally, I lost my mom the day before I turned 12. So I'm still not, like, every day I still think about my mom, because my mom was the more affectionate in the relationship. My father was more like critical, very, he wasn't harsh, but he had a hard time showing his love and giving that to me. Where my mom, she gave it freely, but sometimes she was working 3 jobs to keep the house afloat. So mom was a very strong woman to be an epileptic. So she had seizures. So yeah. So you have to delve deep and look at those experiences that might affect us in our childhood, because it plays a big hand in how you're going to attach or connect with another person. So that's something that I personally learned from this experience and my own experiences. Now that I am single and I'm looking to mingle, I'm not looking to just like get out right away, because I have met some duds. I have met a lot of duds, and it's just people who are looking for fun, or they're not really thinking about, I need to focus on credit to get a house, or, oh, I need to focus on having a job. If you're just thinking about, oh, I want to connect with somebody, oh, I want to, connect. Connection is one thing, but you kind of have to have stability. And you can actually be in a position where you're living with your mom and trying to build wealth and date someone. You can still do that, but you have to at the same time be in the mindset that I'm ready to get outside of this position, and I want better in my life, and I'm willing to get on my grind to get it. So I'm not necessarily need you to marry someone who's in a professional lifestyle or who's already accomplished with so many credentials and got a doctorate's degree or a PhD or whatever. I'm not saying that you should strive for the best, but you should also strive for someone who's in your corner and someone who is looking to build with you and someone who has patience and willing to compromise and listens to you. And I think one of the things that we should all do when we're trying to start a relationship is put down what our fears are. Put down what your fears are. Put down what your boundaries are. Put down what you like that makes you happy, and write down a list. Make a list of your fears, your wants, your goals. How do you feel about the person? You should talk about your previous relationships. All of this needs to be out on the table when you're first trying to start dating somebody. And I know people tend to lie when they first meet because they want to put forth that first best face. They don't want any of their thoughts to come out too quickly. So they tend to lie, and then things come up. But it's our job to be great investigators and actually listen and look at those signs that we might see as being it's just because she's worried, but maybe she's she really does have issues with people being close. It's good to take your time, look for signs, talk about your attachment styles, and figure it out. I mean, no one's gonna say, "Oh, my attachment style is secure," and I'm da 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 da. Most people, I didn't even know about that. I'm learning about these things, and I'm telling you what I'm learning, because I think a lot of relationships might actually work out if we communicate it properly and realize that it can't be all one way, that we have to have a balance, and that sometimes we have fears and experiences that are working against us finding that stable relationship. So that's why I want to do this series where I'm trying to talk about how we can connect. My next one I want to do is talking about intimacy. And intimacy is, again, I say it's not something that necessarily means that you have to be sexual. It's not a sexual thing. It's basically the idea of taking time to get to know the person for who they are. So that's what I'm doing. Wilson, Juju, I saw that you have joined in, and I thank you for joining in. This is Lesbians Do It All, Nico Shervani, and I hope you guys had a great day. I hope you enjoy talking about whether or not we're secure, anxious, and avoidant. These things matter in a relationship, because you have to know how you want to be loved, and you need to know where your attachment style is coming from. So again, I'm still going to keep the poll going to see, to help you out. I did give you the answers, and don't feel like it's a bad thing because if you're anxious, or it's a bad thing if you're avoidant, and don't say, oh, I need to strive to be secure. It's not a matter of trying to strive to be. This is what it is, and it's not something that's good or bad. It's recognizing those signs of, okay, hey, I'm an avoidant, so I have an issue with being attaching with someone. So I need to really reevaluate myself, and maybe not be so focused on having fears and being mistrusting someone because I'm afraid to have that intimacy. I'm afraid to have that connection because I'm afraid they're going to break my trust in the long run. It's being aware that we are devaluing our partner, and we're looking at their faults and trying to automatically write them off instead of like, okay, maybe giving them a chance because, you know, they're a good person. And it's more so that I'm avoided. I'm not, you know, I'm fearful of trust and I've been hurt. So I've gotten to the point where I'm extremely like, you should do one little thing, you turn me off. And then you need to be recognizing that you're anxious, you know, you want that reassurance, but you don't know how to quite clearly communicate your need for that reassurance. So instead, you might be sending 10,000 texts or 10,000 calls, or, you know, singing very clingy because you want that reassurance. It's now taking the time to reevaluate yourself and realize that, hey, I love myself, and I need to be able to express that I need the person to. I need to know where I stand in this relationship, and you need to come out clearly instead of doing things that are irrational. So, and then you have the secure, who is the balance of both of these. You know, they want the balance of a partnership, of a relationship, and not really, you know, one person in control or I'm in control. It's all trying to find that balance in the relationship. So again, I don't think it's a good or bad thing whether you are anxious, avoidant, or secure. It's about being able to recognize where you stand so that you can see how you're reacting in the relationship. Like I said in the previous one, I would ask for intimacy and she would avoid it, but then she would end up staying on the phone with me the whole night, but she wouldn't come over. And then she was very independent. And that was another thing about it. Like, avoidance tend to not want to have anyone be in control of their life. So they tend to be very independent and self-sufficient. And that's exactly what she was. Like, I remember she was telling me this story about how she had a girl, she never played some video game or whatnot. And she ended up teaching herself how to play this game because she didn't want to seem like a loser in this girl's eyes. So they tend to shoot for the goal. They strive to be the best. So that's actually a good personality trait and unavoided. And then anxious, you know, they tend to be very caring. Like for me, my grandmother used to say I'm a mother hen, which is true. Like, I actually am very emotional and I care about how the emotional welfare of my partner. I tend to, like, you know, I want to make sure that you're healthy. I want to make sure that you're doing okay. I want to make sure that everything is working out for you. So I tend to be really caring and careful, and I tend to mother my lover. And that's just the way that I am. So I'm very attentive when it comes to my partner. Secure, it's sort of like, you know, how you have those in the stories where the girl falls for the, so to speak, the bad guy or the bad girl, and then she realizes that the bad girl or the bad guy wasn't the one to be, so she ends up going for the more secure guy. So it's actually not really it's a girl who was anxious who eventually falls in love with somebody who's avoidant, but ends up finding that she can be with someone who's secure. That's really what the storyline is. An anxious person who falls in love with someone who's avoidant because they're quote unquote bad and don't really want to be close or intimate with the person. They're more so like go with the flow. And then she ends up meeting the nice girl or the nice guy who's more secure. So these are things that we have to consider when dating so that we aren't making these mistakes. And I wish you all success and luck in life and love. Stay motivated. Again, this is Lesbians Do It All, and this is Nico Shavani. Love you guys. Much success, peace, love, and prosperity. Hey, the wine is kicking in. That's great. But I haven't been drinking a lot, so I have a low tolerance again. Anyway, good night. Love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the artwork. I got these at Pride last year and I finally hung them up. So I'm actually going to get a frame for them. I like both pictures. I think they're, you know, cute and sensual. So I actually want to, I think his name was Sean Sean Lamont. So I'm actually want to get some more pieces because like he had a piece where there were lips. I know you've seen the one with the rainbow colors and it's like dripping. I don't know if he actually made that, but it's a rendition that he did or possible trade. I don't know. You know, artwork. I know nothing about artwork and copyright laws, but I know that his pieces are tend to be really good. And if I see him again at Pride, I'm definitely going to buy another piece. Thanks for joining in. Good night, guys. Peace. Yay.